Right, we're tracking a massive exclusive story right here. Was a bid to control terror funding in Jammu and Kashmir foiled in the year 2010? That's what a sensational revelation by Jammu and Kashmir's DGP is unearthed. Let's first listen to what the DGP had to say. In fact, we have Tejinder joining us. Tejinder, this is a sensational disclosure. Former Jammu and Kashmir DGP saying that there was a clear effort that was made to curb terror funding way back in the year 2010, and now we get to hear that nothing was done about it.
Indeed, Krishna, this is a great revelation which has been made by none other than but the former Director General of Police Jammu and Kashmir, Kuldeep Khuda. He exclusively told Republic that way back in 2010 when the Kashmir Valley erupted against the alleged fake Machil encounter, the Jammu and Kashmir police found that the links, the perpetrators of those, the violence in Kashmir Valley, they were being funded from across the line of control. They were getting the funding from the Pakistan and also from Saudi Arabia. So they traced those links to Pakistan and to Saudi Arabia and other countries from where the money was being funneled to the separatists in Kashmir Valley, who again in turn were giving the money to the stone pelters, and the agitation that lasted for a few months was sustained. So Jammu and Kashmir police exposed those links, and the then Director General of Police, Mr. Kuldeep Khuda, he requested the then Union Home Minister P. Chidambaram to form a committee so as to investigate these links further, because Jammu and Kashmir police had no jurisdiction outside the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and that committee was formed. But because of the UPA government's pressure,
Tejinder, stay with us. I'm going to come back to you. Let's now listen in to what Kuldeep Khuda had to say, and then I'll come back to you.
Could you please tell us something about the committee which you had recommended to be constituted?
You know, in 2010, in the wake of Machil fake encounter, which later was proved during investigation, there was a serious agitation which prolonged for about 6 months in Kashmir, and which resulted in several casualties also during the management of law and order. And that time when the pelters were arrested with evidence, and during the investigation of the cases of arson and pelting in Kashmir, it was revealed that they were getting regular funding, and the main source was from across the border, and the ISA was pumping in money to fund these pelters through a very organized racket, which was being managed mostly by funding through Hawala operators, through money transfer agents, and through banks also. In fact, during raids at one of the main offices of these pelting, where the pelters were being briefed and sent to various areas for organizing disturbance, we seized lots of records, including the bank checkbooks, and one of the prominent banks in J&K was found to be also being used for the transfer of funds to pelters during that agitation. And it was during that time we felt the necessity that we should go to the root of the funding. And also we had several more cases prior to this registered, wherein large amount of funds were seized from separatists and from other agents who were connected with terrorism. And these cases, we found that they had reached virtually no conclusion in most of the cases, and it was thought very desirable that we should have a committee or a body which can not only focus its attention for investigation in J&K, which J&K police was otherwise doing. We had to take our investigation outside the state to various other parts of the country, like prominently Delhi or Bombay and other areas also from where the funds were getting transferred. But in turn, the funds were being received in other places of the country, which were ultimately being transferred to Kashmir. And those funds were coming from abroad, like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and Europe, and some other places, including US. So it was thought very necessary that we should have a committee which will ensure that the roots of the terror funding are exposed and action is taken against them. So on our request, a body was constituted by the Ministry of Home Affairs in Delhi, which was mainly being convened by the Intelligence Bureau, and the members besides the DGP of J&K, where we had members from other enforcement agencies like Enforcement Directorate, the Revenue Intelligence, the Research and Analysis Wing, the IB, and all those connected who could help us in tracing the roots in other parts of the country and outside the country also. And the body was constituted after our persistent request, and after its constitution we were very hopeful, and rightly so, and we were expecting a huge action in the form of investigation and taking on the funding channels which were spread all across the globe. But the committee did not meet at all, and we tried to remind and explore and put our requests repeatedly that the committee should meet because we had lots of cases registered that time, and prior to that also on funding of terrorists, but money was seized. But during my tenure, I lasted at DGP beyond that period also for about 2.5 years to 3 years. But during that period, the committee never met. If I can say with a lot of based on my experience, that if the committee had worked very proactively, we would have got several results right from 2010.